yesterday, right? If you look at here, right, yesterday's date, variables we have covered end to end, but we didn't do few hands-on with respect to variables. We only talked about like how to assign string variables, how do we call all those things. But there are different types of variables which I talked, like list, map, and all, which we didn't do hands-on. Okay, so right, today's session is corely focusing on these hands-on sessions with respect to whatever we learn, and then the new learnings. The output block, which we didn't discuss, and let me just quickly complete this output block. Okay, if you look at here, right, so this is how we write a Terraform configuration files. Okay, as I said, like the very first block should be like provider block, where you will be specifying provider like which AWS, which cloud, and then the region. This is fixed. Like based on your region where you wanted to deploy, you will just be changing the region code here. And then resources, based on what resources you are going to provision. So the respective resource type has to be mentioned here, and then associated arguments, right, to this particular resource. This is also clear, and we did few hands-on as well. And then next one is like, right, as part of this, right, like without writing this output block, if we just have a like kind of main.tf file, and when you apply these lifecycle commands like Terraform init, plan, apply, okay, the moment you apply just these lines, of course, so you will see an instance gets provision on your AWS account. Okay, but that particular instance will have some kind of like attributes. When I say attributes, like, so the moment it gets created, it will have its private IP, public IP. It is like ARN, everything, right? So like, let's say, how do I fetch those values, right? If at all we wanted to output those list of attributes, right, related to this particular instance. So that is where we need to write this output block. Okay, so output is the block name, like output, and this name can be anything. So in this case, I wanted to get the public IP of this particular instance. Okay, output block should start with output, and this name can be anything. I just given as public IP instance, and then here, right, value equal to, like, to get the attributes of this particular resource. So right here, value equal to AWS instance, which is this one, AWS underscore instance dot. It should be like this one. Whatever this logical name earlier I said, this name can be anything. But when you are referencing, right, so in order, right, we can have multiple resource sections like this, resource, and then AWS underscore instance, and then web. So let's say, right, I can have one more resource block. Again, that particular resource block can create another instance, right? So if, like, that means we can have multiple resource sessions, like resource AWS underscore instance. Maybe I can have, right, this name can be unique again. Like you cannot give again web for another instance. If we are going to provision new instance, you can just give it as app or web1 or any other name, okay, apart from this web name. Okay, so if you look at here, value equal to, like, if at all I wanted to get the public IP of this particular instance, this public IP address we will get to know only after provisioning of this particular instance, right? Before that, we do not know what public IP this particular instance gets created. Okay, so value equal to AWS underscore instance, which is this one, dot, and then this one, dot, and then here it should be public IP. But how do I remember, like, whether I needed to give this public IP or what are the supported attributes by this particular instance? Okay, that I will be showing it in the documentation. Again, if you look at here, Terraform resource, AWS underscore instance. So if we go down all the way, right, This has been discussed earlier. This particular section is discussed. You just wanted to replace this AMI with the actual AMI ID. And I also talked about these argument references. What are the supported arguments by this particular resource? And if you look at here, right, next to arguments, here we have attribute references. Okay. So if you click here, right, these are the attributes supported by this AWS_instance resource. Okay. Again, right, either if the moment you click here, it will take you directly here. Otherwise, just you can just right, scroll down all the way to bottom, where you can see these attribute references. Again, these attribute references are related to this particular instance only. So that means, so the moment we create an EC2 instance, as we know that, okay, every resource in AWS will have its own ARNs. So if you wanted to get the ARN of that particular instance, right, you can go here, right? This name can be anything, but again, here AWS_instance dot web, you put it as .ARN. Okay, so that, right, it will just get you, like once this instance gets provisioned, it will, I mean, you don't have to go again back to your AWS console and then look for ARN of that particular instance. Rather, it will give you ARN of this particular instance in the console output itself. Okay. The same way, right, here it can support multiple attributes, and these are the supported attributes. So the moment you click here, attribute references, and these are the attributes like ARN. So in this case, right, I have taken public IP. If it just little come down here, public_IP. So public_IP. So now let me just run this particular code. Okay, since this is a screenshot, okay, that is fine. Let me take Visual Studio Code. Yeah, is this clear now so far?
Yes.
Okay. So what I will do, I'll just create a folder. Right? If right, people who gets confused looking at this, right? I assume like some of the people who are seeing first time as the Visual Studio Code, if people who are getting confused looking at this, right, this view, it is very simple because, right, you have to learn this kind of coding tools so that, right, when you're working on this kind of automation, right, any writing code and all, it makes your life easier. Okay, when you're working, okay, learn this Visual Studio Code. It is very simple. Okay, you just have to install. And if you see, right, this one, key pair, okay, so this is a directory, and right, all these, right, in S3, right, all these are directories. If you see this symbol in front of, like, this is a Terraform file. This is just a file inside this folder. Okay, since I have expanded this like EC2 EBS and all, I can see, like, so what it means, like, so I have opened a EC2 directory. Inside this directory, I have these many directories. Okay, and this is a file which resides in this EC2 folder. Okay, let me again show you the same thing. I mean, right, you can also look at the same thing from the Windows as well. Okay. Okay, now what I will do, I will just create a simple folder here. Okay, so if you want to create a folder inside this EC2, just select this EC2 and then go over here and then create a folder. So now I wanted to demonstrate this output block. So I'm going to create output folder. Okay, within this output folder, I need to write kind of Terraform file. So what I will do, I'll just select this output folder, create a file. So when you select a folder and when you try to create a file, this particular file will get created inside this output folder. Okay, now I selected this output folder, go in and then here and then main.tf file. Okay, I just created a file. Okay, now I wanted to write the code here. As I said, the very first block is provider block. We have to write provider AWS and then what region, AP-southeast-1. And then the next one is like resource block. Okay, AWS underscore instance. And this name again can be anything. Okay, I can also give app or anything. And like here, right, there are a few mandatory arguments. As I said, AMI is mandatory argument. Okay, here you need to get this is Singapore region code, the region code, AP Southeast -1. So you have to get the AMI ID from this particular region only. Okay, the next one is like instance type. Okay, so let me put it as t2.micro. Let me go to AWS quickly. Okay, I'm in Singapore region. If you look at here, and then let me get the AMI ID of Ubuntu OS. Okay, and okay, these two are the mandatory arguments. If I need any other, like right, maybe right, I wanted to put availability zone as well. Okay, so that means right, this Singapore region will have few 3 availability zones. AP-Southeast -1A. So that means right. Is this clear? Everybody, this availability zone here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we specify here availability zone, right, whenever this particular instance gets created, this will go ahead and then create in this particular availability zone. Okay, if we don't specify it here, it will just create randomly in any of the availability zones. Okay, it can create on, right, it can provision on AP Southeast 1A or 1B or 1C. Okay, but if we specify, this will go ahead and then provision on this particular availability zone. Okay, again, right, as of now, we are not assigning any key pairs because we are not generated any key pairs. And we can also, right, we can also assign key pairs, security groups, all other things, which I will be demonstrating anyway today. But now let us just focus on this output sections. Okay, output, again, output block name can be anything. Okay, I'll put it as instance details. Okay, now, as I said, value equal to, this always should start with value. Okay, in case of variable block, we are just giving default equal to, right, the value. But for output block, this argument should be always value equal to, and what is that value we wanted to get it. Okay, what is that attribute? So since we are going to get the public IP of, right, this particular instance, like AWS underscore instance dot app dot, right, you can also give like this. Otherwise, simply go to here, right, public underscore IP, public underscore IP. Is this code clear? Any difficulties here?
It is clear.
No.
Okay, now what I will do, because we need to, right, now we are done with the writing of the Terraform file. Now we wanted to apply this code. Okay, but if you look at here, right, inside this output main, right, output folder, I just have only main.tf file. As I said, the very first command which we supposed to run is Terraform init. Okay, that is where initialization will be done, right? Let me take command prompt here. Okay, so go to view in the Visual Studio Code, take terminal. So if you take terminal here, right? Okay, here you will also have shells, PowerShell, or you can also come here and then change your shell, git bash. So that means you are taking the, right, kind of shell, and currently if you look at here, right, you are in EC2, right? If you look at when you run this pwd command, currently you are in EC2. So that means EC2 is here. Okay, that means we need to switch into this particular output folder. Okay, now if you look at here, right, cd output. So that means I'm inside this folder. Now if you look at here, right, even you can also see inside this folder, I have only one file. If I just run this ls command, since I have taken this bash shell here, you can run this Linux commands here. So when I run ls command, I have this file, main.tf file, the same file what you can see here. And also you can see the content of this particular file here, right in this window. Okay. Now let me run this Terraform init command. Okay. So as I said, right, as part of this Terraform init command, the initialization will be done, and there is a folder with .terraform gets created, and right, this is where these plugins will get downloaded and all. The next command is like Terraform plan. So which will tell me like what resources are going to provision. But again, it is not a like mandatory step. Every time you need to run a plan. But if you wanted to see the plan before it runs, you can run this plan, or you can directly run apply as well. Okay. As I know, like, okay, this is a straightforward code, and this particular code will provision a simple EC2 instance. But again, let me also show you in AWS Singapore region whether I have any instances or not. So if you look at here, right, I don't have any instances. Now let me straight away apply this configuration, Terraform apply. When you give this auto approve, it will not ask us confirmation, right? During the runtime, it will not ask us to press again yes, okay, for the confirmation. So to avoid that, you can just add this flag, -auto -approve for your Terraform apply command. So you can see, right, plan one to add, okay, and this particular resource. And what is that resource? Like AWS underscore instance. You can little go up. Here plus means it is like adding, right? So the resource. So this is the one which is getting added, and it is taking AMI because this is the AMI which we passed here. And right, if you look at here, right, availability zone, because we have given here availability zone AP-Southeast 1A, that is what you can see here. Even when this particular instance gets provisioned, you can see, right, this particular instance is provisioned in AP-Southeast 1A. Okay. And if we come down, because we have defined this output block. So I wanted.
When you hear in that above output, known after apply values, those are null, we can put it in the output block, right? In the console terminal section.
Yeah, you can have it. You can have it.
Those many things we can print it.
Yeah, you can also put it in the output session if you wish to.
Okay.
Okay. So if you see, right, instance details. So it has given me like this, but ideally it should supposed to give. I think we made some mistake here. Let me, right. Ideally, when you see here this output section, instance details equal to, we supposed to get the public IP of this particular instance. Let me check, right? So here, right, if you look at here, I have encoded with the strings. So it considered as a string. We should not supposed to add these strings, right? Let me remove these strings here. Okay, now let me run again. So ideally, right, this is the mistake which I made. We shouldn't supposed to add these strings here. Okay, when I run this one now, since I have enclosed the strings for this, it is just printed as it is. I should when this particular value, right, should not supposed to have these strings. Now let me again apply. This time it won't create, but it will just give us this public IP of this instance in the here itself. See? Now this is the public IP of this particular instance which we just created. Okay, now we can also verify. Now let me go to AWS console. Let me refresh. Yeah, this is the instance which gets provisioned now. If I select this instance and look at this public IP, 211.77. 211.77. Clear? So like this, right? You can add as many as attributes here. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
Either
we
you can.
also add our key values? Like now, we will not be able to log in unless until we have that values, right?
Yeah. That is part of demos, today's demos.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. This output block, is it clear? Like, see, in this case, I have just added only one attribute. If you want to add multiple attributes, right, again, it is very simple. Again, I wanted to show you my GitHub repository, which I usually, right, like Terraform training, right? Whatever code I develop for for these classes, I usually ask my students to go over this this code, right? See, the more code you see and the more code you understand, you'll be more familiar in the Terraform. Okay, if you look at here, right, EC2, right?
Can we clone this
Yeah,
to
you can
our?
clone it. Yeah, you can
Could
clone
you
it.
please
Okay,
bring us?
this is the public repository again. If you look at here, right, this is the public repository. Okay, I will give you this URL, and again, this URL is put it in the learning portal. Okay, since I'm done here, let me go back. Right, this URL is already given here. Okay, again, it is public. You can. It is a public repository. You can just clone it, but again, let me share. Okay, I just put this URL like GitHub Terraform repository URL in the chat.
Thank
Right.
you.
Since we are done with the GitHub, I think you should know already how to clone this repository. Okay, let me quickly do how to clone. Let me just show it to you. Right, you can just take anything like git bash. Like, okay, you need to install git, like to clone, git clone, and then the repository URL. So if you look at here, right, so I just cloned it on my desktop. Now on the desktop, I should have created this file now as part of this clone, Terraform training. Okay, now let me refresh. Okay, Terraform training. Yeah, this is the one which I just cloned it. Okay, this is how you also need to clone it. Once you clone it, right, as of now, right, since we are discussing this EC2 and then variables introduced, you just only look at these two folders. Okay, as of now. Remaining things I will be in the next classes. I'll be walking you through the next, right, this modules concept, state file demo, right, and remaining stuff. But for now, let us just see what is there inside this EC2. Okay, and let me the same thing, right? If I come here, right, if I go to this EC2, the single EC2 instance. So far, what we used to do, like this is Terraform block, and this is provider block, and then next one is like resource block. I think this is clear to everybody now.
Yes.
Okay, now let me see the next one. Okay, multiple EC2 instances, right? So if you want to provide, if you wanted to create,
We are unable to
We
hear
are not
you.
able to hear your voice. Oh, sorry.
no, I didn't talk anything. I'm just, am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I mean, I was just closing some tabs here. Okay, but you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Can you all see my screen? Okay. So, right, I had many tabs here. I was just trying to close all of them. So, right here, right, as part of this output demonstration, I just have written a main.tf file where I have just included one resource. Let's say, right, I wanted to create, I mean, if my requirement is to provision 5 servers, right? Can I write like this 5 times? Right, here instead of app1, I can put it as app1 instead of app2, because this name should be unique, right? This name we cannot just have 2 times, right? App2, can I go on like this? Will it work? So when I apply this Terraform on this code, will it create 1, 2, 3, 4 resources, like 4 EC2 instances?
Yes.
I doubt.
Yeah, if it is doubt, why? If it is yes, why?
Because
Resource is a thing which we need to declare only once, right? Or can we declare it multiple times?
Because right, this is the one resource and this is different resource, right? This makes the uniqueness of this particular, like, right? Our names, right? We will have our surname and also main name. So together is our name, but some other person, right? We can also have our main name can be for other name, other person also, but their surnames will be different. So here, right? Just think of it, okay? This is the main name and this is the surname. So this is how we represent, I mean, this is how the naming will be represented for this particular resource. But obviously, right, this particular instance, this particular resource is different than this instance. Do you agree this one? Based on this.
Yes.
So that means we can create it. So, right, if I do this Terraform apply, it actually go ahead and then provision for is, I mean, like the number of, it actually looks this resource block. If it resource block exists, and if it is unique and if it is not exist, like if I just give again app, it will throw an error. Okay, if I just put it like this, because this considered as a different request altogether, it will go ahead and provision it. But right, this is not the best way of writing Terraform code. If we do like this, it is dumbest way. Okay, and we shouldn't do like this. Okay, though it can, right, we have to follow some kind of best practices while we are writing code. Okay, right, now let me show, right, how best we can write it. Okay, multiple EC2 instances. If I open this main.tf file, so since I covered yesterday this variables concept, it makes sense to talk about this one, right? Let me little maximize this. Okay, so here what I did, like provider block, this is clear. And here variables block, I'm defining a variable name, and with default values, I'm assigning 3 values. Okay, since it is a list, the list should start with this square bracket, and these are the values. So this particular variable, like variable block definition starts with variable, and this is the variable name. This variable no, holds these 3 values: dev, QA, and then production. But here, right, after that, I'm writing a resource block. So when I'm writing this resource block, resource AWS underscore instance, and again, this name can be anything. Here, right, the count value, right, based on what count, like if I give here 3, so that means this block will loop 3 times. If I put it here, count value is 5, this particular block will run 5 times. Each time if it runs, it creates one EC2 instance. Again, the same way, when the next time it runs, it creates another EC2 instance. Again, with the same characteristics. Okay, with AMI and then instance type and whatever tags you specify here. So here what I did was, I created a variable with 3 values. In place of hard coding the count value here, I just took the length of this variable. Okay, in this case, length is like 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. But again, right, this is like a kind of kind of list, right? Index always starts with 0, 1, 2. Even if it is 0, 1, 2, the least value, I mean, the least number is total 3 times. So 3 times it iterates. Length of, right? Length is like function, right? Length of var dot, like var dot, this instance names. So that means instead of hard coding 3, I am taking the length of this variable. So in this case, 3. But tomorrow, right, I can just simply add one more, like stage or UAT or anything as well. So based on numbering, like based on how many number of right, values this particular variable holds, this many number of instances will get created. Okay, so that means here 3, and then AMI. Okay, AMI we have to specify AMI again, pointing to the same region AMI, and then instance type. This is clear, and right, we have to have list tags should be right, vary right. Ideally, server name should be vary from server to server. So here instead of hard coding the tags, so again var dot name equal to var dot instance names of like count dot index. Count dot index means index starts with 0 always, right? So the very first time when this server gets created, right, based in the first iteration, it will print the dev server. So that means it creates one server. The tag will be applied to that instance is dev. The second time when this particular block runs, it creates another server with tag called QA, because count.index always starts with 0. When count.index is 0, it prints dev. When count.index becomes 1, it will be like QA, and then like this. So that means we will get 3 instances, and each instance like dev, QA, and production. Is this clear? See, right?
Yeah, it's clear, but if you see line number 11 here, example instance name, how it will replace, that's what we were thinking.
No. This name is nothing to do with any of the places. This name can be anything, right? Again, this is a logical name. When do we use this name? In the earlier example, right? I was showing, right, this earlier example. Like if you want to get some details, like details about this particular instance, if you wanted to get details about this particular instance, this particular name plays a crucial thing here, right? Again, right, if you want to get this particular resource instance, together this AWS underscore instance dot, this plays crucial role here.
Okay, so app 1, app 2, app 3 are the equivalent to tag names are different.
No, here tag name, we are not specified any tags here. This is just a resource name. This is
Okay.
resource name. AWS underscore instance dot app2 is the resource name for this particular instance. The tag names, because we are not used this tag flag here, we are not applied any tags as per this example.
Okay.
So if you want to apply tags, you have to use this tags equal to, and then what tags you wanted to apply here. So based on that, the tags will be applied, right? If you just hard code this one, if you just remove everything, and if you just hard code name equal to app, that means all 3 servers will get provision with tags name is same. Whatever you specify, if you hard code here, all 3 servers will get the same tag value. But we don't want to, right? I mean, right? If all 3 servers have the same tag, then you can just remove this particular thing. It is just very simple, right? I wanted whenever this first server get created, the first server should have tag is dev. Then how do I get this value? So to get this value, since it is declared under this variable block, var dot instance names, instance underscore names, always, right? Whatever name you give here, var dot instance names of count dot index, right? This is a list. So, right, in order to call the list, right, list values, count dot index. When you put right count dot index, the very first time it takes the first value, like, and then next value, and then next value. Yeah, you have to have little programming understand. I mean, again, this is not much programming. This is just a list. I mean, nothing. Is this clear? If it is clear, I will show the demonstration.
Okay. You mean to say this tag names we can use for as alias names, and we can distinguish between different instances.
Normally in real time, how it works, the tags is that, right? This particular server, right? Whatever we create, okay, this will be created for some particular project. Again, that particular project will be under some particular division. When I say, right, this particular server is created is for some XYZ client. Okay, this XYZ client may be like kind of healthcare customer, like maybe Apollo, right? Apollo hospitals. Just think of it. Okay, this particular server is created for Apollo hospitals for their application deployment and all. Again, this Apollo is comes under healthcare division. Okay, they will have some divisions. Like within the company, they will be handling it multiple customers. Okay, they can handle e-commerce applications like e-commerce customers. They can handle like this healthcare, airlines, like that. Many other divisions will be there in the company. And again, product owner. Who is the product owner for this particular application? What is the application deployed on it? So that means, right, it is like unique names, the tags. So ideally, right, the tags will not be one. Every company will have their own tags, like who is the product owner. Like if you look at here, right, manage tags, like I can keep adding to the tags for the same particular instance, like product owner. Okay, product owner, maybe, right, I can have some value, maybe Kohli or somebody. And again, right, division, as I said, right, division, healthcare, like this, right? Each particular resource what you create will come up with multiple tags. Again, these tags will vary from company to company, what they decide. Okay, like customer. Okay, if they are handling multiple customers, like being as a service-based company, assume that, okay, I handle multiple customers. Okay, what customer it belongs to, like maybe Apollo. Is it clear? This way, these tags are just, when we cannot call it as these are alias names to these instances. These are just like, which will just tell us like kind of labels. This will tell us about this particular information, the server details. Like
Okay, invariably looking at these tags names, we can make it as a unique instance. This one to
yeah,
identify.
I mean, obviously, right? Yeah, these are like labels to this particular instance.
Okay.
Right. If somebody looking at this particular instance without having these tags, can you just say that, okay, which application is deployed on this particular instance, and who is the customer for this, and who is the product? And we can also have, like, right, as I said, product owner, right? We can also have product owner contact number, right here, something like this. Then, right, somebody can call on this number also. It's all about the benefit what we get out of it.
Understood.
Okay, so that these tags what I'm talking here, Visual Studio Code, GitHub. Okay, so this is all right. As of now, we are just applying only one tag, but in real time, okay, you may have multiple tags for each server. Again, right, if you look at my GitHub, I have written production grade code for one of my earlier customer. That also I have uploaded. Okay, modules. Okay, this I will be walking you through again, probably right after 2 days, where I will show you the real world code what I have implemented. Okay, if you look at your main. Okay, anyway, I don't want it to deviate from the original topic, right? But even in the real time, how the tags are applied, right? How the tags I applied actually for personally for one of my previous customer, I'll be showing it everything, right? But for now, right, let us just try to understand the concepts. Everything is already written here. Okay, let me quickly. Okay, let me just show it quickly. Modules. If you look at here, right, the variables like built by application, like infrastructure support, finance contact. Like again, the values cannot be right. Whatever values you declare here, right, as part of the tags, again, they also have to be like kind of variableized. You cannot just have like kind of, no, right? If you go back here, right, inside this one, if you are writing like this, tags equal to, again, product owner, we cannot just have hard coded like this, because, right, even this one also will be variableizing where dot product owner. Okay, again, maybe, right, application, where dot application. So since I'm defining like this, again, I will have variable block for this particular application. Okay, so like this, right? We can have multiple tag values. Again, all these things will be variabilized it, and then we will be passing values from the variable blocks. Okay, so this is what we did. Like everything, these are like kind of tags. Environment, right? Application support, project number, right? So I mean, this is like kind of real-time code. I will just walk you through in the later sessions. But for now, right, let us not go there. So multiple EC2 instances. Is this clear so far? This code, understanding this code.
Yeah.
Okay, I will take this one, copy. Again, right? Again, the same thing I have cloned here. And right, if you look at, if I expand, right, again, okay, to make it very simple, I just write, let me just expand this multiple EC2, the same code, right? Okay, otherwise, right? Let me just open the folder which I cloned it just now. Terraform training is the one which I cloned it just now. Okay, I had to go inside this EC2, inside this multiple EC2 instances, where I can see this is the file. Okay, since I just cloned this Terraform training repository, I got complete code, and I supposed to go to whichever folder I wanted to run. So this is the file which I just explained. Let me run it again. If you look at here, this particular folder having only main.tf file. Let me take again it. If you just select here and then right click, okay, just select here and then go to view, terminal. Okay, it is Terraform training, and let me go to EC2, because I should go inside this EC2 and inside this multiple EC2 folder. Okay, now if you look at here, if when I run this ls command, I have only main.tf file, and this is the content of this file, Terraform init. See, all the time we will be running this init plan apply. Okay, but you need to know how to write these files. Okay, init is done. And now let me straight away apply this one. Terraform apply -auto -approve. Spelling mistake. Terraform space apply auto approve. Okay. If you look at here, right, 3 to add. That means based on this count variable here, this particular resource block will iterate that many number of times. Here in this case, count value is 3 based on the length of this list. Okay, this particular resource block, right? Otherwise, if at all, as I said earlier, right, if at all we wanted to provision 100 times, it is not the best practice to write 100 times this resource block. Rather, you define a list variable with, right, defining the list values, and then use that length. I mean, you can also hard code here, but if you hard code here, tomorrow, if you wanted to change, you have to change from 3 to 4 and all. If you use this kind of variables, you can just simply add, right? You can just change it like, again, like staging or further. Okay. Again, as I said, right, this is being provisioned 3 instances. You can also check it out, like you can little come up and then you can look it out. The very first instance is AWS underscore instance dot this logical name example underscore instance of 0. So that means half 0 means this particular one. The count.index is always starts with 0, that dev instance. And then the next one is QA and then production. Okay. Now let me go to AWS console. Go back here. Okay. Right. In this case, right, I have selected this US-East 1 region. Okay. So I should go to this particular region. US-East 1 is the North Virginia region. Can you see like dev QA production? 3 instances are still initializing it. Yeah. 3 are added, and these 3 are the instances what we created. See how I mean, this is better code, right? Rather than writing this resource block multiple times.
Okay, now for 3 different instances, I want to print output of the public IP.
Yeah, I mean, we had to write this output block. Right? Output block, and maybe right, you can, this name can be anything again. Public IP. Again, right here, always it starts with value equal to here, right, AWS underscore instance dot example of first instance, right? Of first instance dot public IP. Okay. Public underscore IP.
So here we
Can't
have
we give
access
count
to
dot index here?
that's what index based on index number we are specifying here.
Like now, while creating, we gave count dot index, right? Like that we cannot give here.
So while we are creating count here, is it this count length of, yeah, we can also give this. I mean, it's not like only one approach we have to follow. We can also follow multiple approaches to get this one. I mean, this is a kind of right, like based on what, right? I mean, it is not like only we have to follow one particular approach. We can follow multiple approaches to get this kind of requirements. Okay, let me just try with this approach. Okay, public underscore IP. And okay, Ravi, what approach you are telling like this? Value equal to this length of.
Yeah, correct. Where you gave that in the tags, you gave that count dot
because
index.
Right, when you specify here value equal to, like what is that instance here? Because right, see, if you look at here, instance underscore 0 always represent like, see, while creation of this instance also, if you look at here, if you little go up, like this is how it got created, right? AWS underscore instance example of 1.
Yeah. See, here we have
Usually we want to
only
look through this
3
one,
values.
look through. We want to look through.
No, actually, see, here we have only 3 values. We know that, so we are giving it. What if we have 10 values? So we have to give 10 value equal to all those things.
Yeah, actually we have to loop again, like kind of we have to use some kind of for each and all, right? For each, right? There are two things, either for each or this kind of loop. So when we do loop through, it actually iterate every single value here. If you don't want it to do like that, you can also do for each syntax.
Okay, got
okay, for each on this instance, like what value you wanted to get it.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is
We
not
will
a
try to
complex.
get that solution by
I think
tomorrow.
I think this is not a complex requirement. We just have to
Correct.
give it try. I think for each you can do it. Okay. Now let's right. So far we just created instances and we have not assigned any key pair. So without assigning any key pair, again key pair is an optional thing here. without assigning key pair, we cannot log in. But if at all we wanted to log in, we can log in only from the console, right? This particular instance, if you look at here, right, prod instance, if I little come down here, right?
But can't we log in with our IAM user?
No, IAM user will only be used to log into your cloud account, but not your instance account, but not your instance. IAM ID will help you to log into your AWS only. These instance credentials are different. These instance credentials are something like if it is Ubuntu instance, right? This is at instance level. IAM user ID at your cloud level. Okay. So in this case, right, by default, right, since I have used this Ubuntu operating system, Ubuntu is the default ID. So, right, Ubuntu and then key name, what we used to log in so far. But in this case, right, we are not assigned any key pair. Let me just, so here, right, let me, right, if you look at here, right, key pair assigned at launch, you see, right, there is nothing. So that means we are not assigned any key pairs for these particular instances. Hence, we cannot log in. So in order to log in, you can only log in from the console. I mean, you cannot take putty and then log into this instance. Rather, you can do like just select this instance, click connect, like click here, EC2 instance connect. Okay, select this one, EC2 instance count, and then connect. So that means you can take, it is like, right, the people, right, some of the people have worked on AX or maybe, right, it is like console access. Like taking the console of the server, being in the cloud itself, being in the cloud, being here itself in your AWS service, right? You will be able to log into this server. It will give you console access, but whereas through remote, you cannot connect to this server. But it will connect it. It is giving some error, but ideally it will correct. Error occur while, okay, maybe I just have to refresh, but it will connect, connect here. Okay, now, okay. It will connect that is, for some reason it is giving error, but you just have to, right? This should not be any problem for now. Now, the next thing is, right, let us create key pairs and then attach that key pairs to the servers. For that, right, here I have a key pair, okay? So if you look at here, right, okay, let me, for simplicity, EC2, right, key pairs. Again, right, so key pair is a different resource altogether again. The way how we represent AWS underscore instance is for EC2. The same way, in order to create key pair, so we have to use this AWS underscore key pair. Again, you can refer the documentation, right? All these things, right? We cannot remember everything. So this key pair comes under this, right? This key pair, right next to this AWS instance, you have a key pair, okay? If you just click here, so this is where you can see, you can read everything about this particular instance, like what are the different types of attributes supported by this resource, and also arguments, okay? And if you come up, so they have given the option like this: resource name, and this name can be anything, and then the key name, okay? Again, this key name can be anything based on what key name you create, what key name you mention here, the respective key gets created, and then the public IP, okay, public key. So if you look at here, right, this is kind of some encrypted key. So we have to generate this key, right, upfront. Okay, how to generate this key? And then, right, it is like, right, so whenever we create an EC2 instance, right, this EC2 instances, right, see, look at here, right, we were able to connect to this server. Like, as I said, this will get connected. This is, I mean, this got connected. Okay, that means without having key pair also, we can connect to this server, but only from the console, not from outside. Okay, I was talking this key pair now. Okay, right. So what I was trying to say, like, whenever we create a server EC2 instance, we usually specify what key pair, whether we wanted to create new key pair or an existing key pair attached. So that means, right, we will get one key gets downloaded, right, to us. That is a kind of private key. And in the AWS account, right, in the servers, like we will have public. That means, so this means private IP and then the public IP does handshake. Only then I mean, if we are passing the correct private key, and if your public key is matching to your private key, then only your authentication happens, and then you will be able to connect to that particular instance. So that means you need both private key and also private public key. But while we are creating this instance, public IP stores inside this instance, and private IP gets downloaded. I mean this PEM file, like private key file, gets downloaded. With the help of that private key, we will be able to connect to the instance, right? So if you look at here, right? So here public key, we need to generate both private key and then public key. And then with the help of this public key, we need to generate this key pair. Okay, how to generate this public key? Okay, here I have specified a command. Okay, again, same thing you can refer from here as well. If we go key pair, again, this is my GitHub repository. And right, keypair.md file. MD is like kind of readme document, readme page, GitHub, right? Generate .pem file with the below command. So you need to run this command ssh-keygen -trsa, right? -f, like this. You need to generate like both PEM file, both private file and then public file. So where you need to generate, like you just copy this one, okay, and then right. So where I'm currently, I'm in multiple EC2 folder. Okay, I wanted to go back, so I should be inside this key pair. So this is where I have this EC2 key pair main file. So this particular location, let me create with your key pair. Okay, maybe I can have same name, not a problem. Okay, so whenever you run this command ssh-keygen and -trsa, and it is like the key type we are going to, I mean, with this command we will create two keys. One is private key and one more is public key. Okay, just don't give anything, just press enter. So if you look at here, right, there are two files gets created. Okay, your key pair.pem, like whatever name you give here, right? In this case, I have given your key pair.pem. So this is the private key file, and this is the public key file. Your key pair. So whichever file extension with .pub, it is a public file, and this is a private file. So we are going to keep this private file, and we are going to give this, right, with the help of this public key content, we are going to create a key. I mean, it is like a key for that instance. Okay, now this is the one which we generated. Either we can copy everything and then okay, so what I did, I just selected this public key pair. So I just did Control A and then select the complete content. This is one way. Okay, after selecting, go to your Terraform file. Okay, this key pair file. So this is where, right, you can just simply replace this complete content, right? So like this. So that means your pub file content, right? Whatever pub you had, or whatever public key you have generated here, this public key content has to be put it here. Okay, there is one more approach, like okay, this has to be like this. This is one approach. Otherwise, you can also use this file function, like public key equal to file of, and you can give this file name. Okay, and again, if you look at this file, this file did not have provider block. Let me quickly write provider AWS region equal to AP-Southeast-1. Okay, and I had to make sure that okay, AP-Southeast, which is Singapore region, this is the valid AMI or not. Let me go back here. Any doubts so far?
No. So there will be two keys. One is public, another one is private. While connecting the instance, public key we have to use it, right?
Private key will be using it.
Okay.
We store private key. Public key will be with AWS.
Public key is having in AWS inside, private key with in our hands.
Yeah, correct. So is this? Okay, okay. Let me copy the valid AMI. Let me copy this valid AMI. Okay, now here, whatever key name here, right? You can put any key name, KodeCraft. And if you're right, so let me tell you again here. So right, with the help of this key pair resource, key pair with this name, key pair, and if you look at here, key name, what is the key name here? KodeCraft. So that means with the help of this resource block AWS underscore key pair gets generated, and right, KodeCraft is the key name. But we have to attach this key pair to the instance. Like how do we attach? Right, under resource block for your instances. So far we did not attach, right? So key underscore name is the argument to attach key. So that means whatever key name is here, KodeCraft, the same name had to be given here, so that this particular key will get created. Again, right? If you look at here, there is one more thing which I mentioned here. Depends underscore on. So that means there is a dependency here. So what the dependency is that? So here we need to create a key pair, and also we need to create a server. So what this depends underscore flag is, so this particular resource is depends on this key pair. If you look at here, AWS underscore key pair dot deployer. So AWS underscore key pair dot deployer. So that means Terraform has to create this resource first, and then it has to create this one, because this particular resource is depending on this resource. So right, few things will be right. There are two things in Terraform: implicit dependency and then explicit dependency. Right? Implicit dependency means there are few scenarios where Terraform will automatically know, okay, this particular resource has to be created first, and then the next resource. So example could be like so whenever you create an EC2 instance, you also create an elastic IP and then attach. So Terraform knows such cases that, okay, right, your elastic IP has to be created first, and then it has to be attached to your EC2 instance. There are few things, right, which you have to explicitly specify using this depends on. Okay, I can give you one more example, like where right you need to use this depends underscore farm. Let's say right, you have a requirement for spinning up an EC2 instance and also S3 bucket. Okay, so in your applications, right, there may be a requirement first, requirement like you have to have your server first, only then you build S3. Okay, you may have that kind of requirements. Okay, as part of your application design and all. If that is your requirement, then you have to add this flag. Like whenever you use this flag depends underscore on, like this particular resource is depending on this resource. Only after creation of this instance, this will get created. Okay, now everything is clear here. Like we have specified the correct provider, and we have also generated key pair, and then assigned here public key, and this private key is with us. Okay, and now everything is correct. Now let me save this file. Now being in the same folder, key underscore pair here, key underscore pair. Okay, and let me also show you one time from here. If I open this, the same folder, I'm opening it in Windows. Okay, EC2. If I go inside this key pair, okay, right. EC2 underscore key pair is a Terraform file, like whatever the code which I have shown here, like resource blocks, provider block, and this is source file. Okay, and this is the one which we generated, private key. Your key pair .pm is the private key. This is the public key. Okay, this key pair .md, right? It is like kind of the pay. I mean, this is nothing to do with your Terraform. This is just like kind of help pages, like okay, help pages for your GitHub. Because since I wanted to, right, I usually kept all these files in the GitHub. I wanted to give some README nodes, okay, where people can read. That means this will be opening like this, where people can read this one and understand it, what needs to be done and what is part of here. Okay, here I have given example. This is one more example, right? If you put like this, right, the complete content of your pub key, you may make some kind of mistakes. Okay, so rather what you can do, you can also call this key pair using this file function, public underscore key equal to file of what key, what file. This is public file. This is another way of calling your public key. Okay, either you can call it directly with the help of your public key content or public key file name. Okay, either way you can approach, but since I have commented here, it will take this one. If you don't want this one, you can just comment this one or enable, or you can have only one entry. Now let me go to Visual Studio Code. Now let me run it, Terraform in it. Is this clear so far?
Yeah, but a bit confusion. We'll do exercise.
Okay. Okay, now I will apply Terraform apply -auto -approve. So right, when I apply this file, right, you have to look at your resource, this Terraform file. So I'm going to create an instance. This is the instance. Like that, the tag for this instance is hello world. Okay, one second. There is an error here. Importing response. Invalid key pair duplicate. Okay. Let me put it, because these key pairs I must have already created sometime. So it says duplicate key pair is already exist. Okay. So there are some names which are already conflicting with the AWS. Okay. Now I just let me again run.
I think that depends on also we need to change.
Yes, correct. That is good catch. Who said that? That is good catch. Because right, if I change here the key pair logical name, it has to be changed here as well. Okay. Otherwise, right, this particular resource is depending on something which is not exist. Okay, so if you look up importing key pair, the key pair already exists. What is this key pair already exist?
I think key name also need to change. It is trying to.
Okay, let me write. It says something is already exist. Let me go to my AWS account. Let me check whether I have KodeCraft. Right, again, if you go to EC2, this is where you can check key pairs. Okay. Yeah, this is the right. If you look at here, right, KodeCraft is the key which is created somewhere in 6th June. Today we are in 3rd July. Since this key is already exist, right? We are trying to create new key pair with the same name. Hence, it is not accepting it. Let me change the queue name, right? KodeCraft1. I will put it as KodeCraft1. And let me put it KodeCraft1 again here. Now, let me apply. So, right, since we have written two resource blocks, one is like key pair resource block, other one is AWS underscore. That means we are going to create two resources. One is key pair, the other one is instance. And we have also attached key pair to this instance using this argument, key underscore name. And this is the key. Now, if you look at here, right, the resource is getting created and also key pair is getting created. Right, you can check here, two added. Now, if I come down here, if you go to, even if you select your EC2 resource and then go to key pairs, if I refresh here, I should be able to see this KodeCraft1, the bottom, KodeCraft1, which is just created. If I go to EC2 instances, okay, hello world, right? This is the instance. You can check the tag. Okay, this is the instance which we just provisioned, and the key name will be like KodeCraft1. Okay, hello world. And if I come down, right, I should be able to see key pair right here, KodeCraft1. So now, right, so this is the key pair which we created and then assigned during the launch of this instance, right? Since we have the private key for this key pair, and then we can log into the server. How do we log in? So in order to log in, we take the public IP of this, right? This, and then, right, I can go here. So where is our private key file exist? Key pair demo, and this is our private key. Let me take here git bash. Okay. SSH hyphen I key pair name, your key pair, and Ubuntu is the default username for your Ubuntu, and then the IP of your instance.
Yeah, this is our private key, right? Whatever we
Yeah,
have
this is
given.
this is our private key.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me quickly check what is the issue here. So right, you can just connect here. You can right what it says SSH hyphen key KodeCraft1 dot. Okay. Is this the right key I'm passing? Okay, KodeCraft1. Okay, KodeCraft.pm and then Ubuntu at your key pair. Okay, your key pair.pm. Yeah, this is correct, but let me also check in the security group. Let me select the instance, go to security group.
I think we have to go in the double quotes, that one.
Yeah, let me just,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, HTTP all traffic, right? All traffic, why, right? Because security group, right? Let me give all traffic. Let me give 0. Okay. Otherwise, right, let me just delete. I'll just enable this SSH traffic from everywhere, because even the security group also can be created through Terraform and then assigned. But for now, right, I just did it manually, right? This particular instance has to accept this SSH traffic Okay, for now, for the time being, I allowed from anywhere. Okay, let me try to access. See earlier like that. Is it clear now? I'm able to, because this particular server was not accepting that incoming traffic on port number 22. Now I have allowed in security group. Again, I did it manually, but even that security groups can also be created using Terraform, and then the security groups can also be attached to your you can also allow like what ports your security group has to be enabled, and then how to attach your security groups to your instances. All those things can be done even using Terraform as well. But is this clear so far? Any doubts? Is Terraform interesting or boring or difficult? Yeah, I just need your feedback because I need to gauge my audience. I need to see, right?
It's actually interesting when, as like you said yesterday, right? When we compare it with the shell, yeah, and then we are able to, I'm able to get it actually. So the
So
only thing is
in Visual Studio Code,
correct.
you change from PowerShell to your Git bash. So since you are coming from Linux background, it is easy for you to understand and run all the Linux commands. Understood.
Only thing is we'll have to do more practice. Otherwise, it will be tough.
Yeah. See, normally, right?
Yeah.
I trained more people already. Right. I usually go based on my audience response. Right. If they are kind of freshers and if they are not able to understand, or right, I'll come to know, okay, where I needed to stop. If they are not able to catch up, right, my speed or the way, like the depth of training, I'll just stop, and then I don't go beyond like even to depth. So right, if you guys are doing right this much of practice, I can even go beyond this and then can get you even more. Okay, right? If you are not doing it even this much practice, I don't want me going even the beyond these topics and then get you all. See, right? There is no point, right? Actually, me telling too much, and when you are not able to, you know, grasp the things even at the basics. I'm trying to give right as easy as possible, right? Instead, all these things, right? I'm taking, actually, I should have given all these things as exercises to you all. You just have to follow this GitHub and then do it on your own. But I didn't do because I wanted to do it so that you can do remaining things. I could have just simply asked everybody, okay, follow this GitHub repository and then clone this, right? Clone this repository and then do it on your own. Okay, if you have any issues, I will help you out. But I don't wanted to do it. I did it few, but right, if at all I want to do it, right? If you look at here, right, today's exercises, I given this like total 7 exercises, but it took almost 1.5 hours just to cover 3 topics because like clearing all doubts and then explaining each and every topic and explaining each and every content. Right? So we could cover only three, right? We need one more session to cover remaining 7. But again, right, I want you all to take this challenge and do it on your own. And if at all you have any doubt, I can definitely help you out. But for me, right, I can just simply explain the two things here. Either I will do it, or I can explain, you do it, or without explain, you do it. 3 options. So which one do you want me to do it?
Yeah,
See,
we
I'm
will
giving
do
an
it.
option.
You just explain us, we will do it.
So right, yeah, that is good option actually, right?
Yes. Only then we will get the hands on
Yeah,
it.
correct, right? If I see, I don't want you just okay, follow this one and then do it. Okay, it is not a fair because right, I had to give you the explanation and then the strong. Only then, right? Even while you are doing it, you'll get clear idea, right? Let me because anyway, because actually, right, I can tell even next 1 hour also because right, I don't want my students to feel more burden and then feel difficult and then not doing up even the basics. So right, I wanted to cut down my actually, in fact, I wanted to close my sessions exactly at 1 hour 20 minutes, but it is not happening. It normally I take these extended sessions during the projects only. Projects, right? To cover any projects, I at least need 2 hours. But for some reasons, even covering these basics taking 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, I don't want it to go beyond 1 hour 30 minutes because you feel very difficult. So what I will do, I'll just simply explain only 2 or 3. Okay, you can do it on your own. Okay. So security groups, right? Creating security group and attaching to server. Okay, key pair we are done and attached to the server, and then we are able to log in. This is done. Providing multiple instances, this also we are done, right? Creating security group and attaching to server. Okay, let me quickly go here, right? Here you can check, right? Key pair, SG means security group and EC2 instance. If you open here, right? Key pair concept, you are clear. I will not explain again key pair here. The security group. Again, resource, there is security group, the resource is AWS underscore security group. And this is your name of your security group, and description can be anything. So when you say here ingress, it is like incoming traffic. So what traffic you wanted to enable? So here port number 22 means the port number 22 is like SSH protocol. So we are allowing port number 22 from anywhere. CADR block is from when you mention 00, like just now we enable, right? The in the security group, edit inbound rules. Here port range. So here, right? When you say here port range, you can also give like 100 to 200 like this. So this is from port. So if you look here, from port is like when you say both from port and to port is 22. So that means we are only allowing 22. So when you specify from port is 100 and then 200, that means any port from this range, from port to 200, all the ports will be enabled. And from where? Okay, based on which source you wanted to assign. If you specify here, it will be allowed from anywhere. Here, all the ports between 100 and then 200. Okay, ingress. Again, here I'm opening 2 ports, 122, 180 from everywhere. And then egress is nothing but outbound traffic. By default, outbound traffic will be allowed. When you say here 0, it is for all ports. Okay, again, it is from 0 to 6, like the maximum port number is 65,535. So it is from everywhere, 0 to all the ports. So we are just enabling all the ports. Outbound traffic by default, it is enabled for all the ports. Okay. So that means with this block, with this resource block, we are going to create a security group. Like this is the security group which gets created. And how do we reference that? Like we need to attach, right? We need to attach that security group to the instance. So again, under resource block, security underscore groups equal to, since this we can attach multiple security groups. So this will like kind of list variable. So it should start with like this square brackets. And then how do we reference this security group? Again, AWS underscore security group, which is this one. AWS underscore security group dot example underscore SG dot ID dot name. Okay. So this is how you need to create a security group and then reference that security group here. And while you created this instance will get created, right? The key name, whatever you specified there, and then right here, right? If you look at here, that we are not even specified that depends underscore on. Okay, these kind of things will be taken care by Terraform itself. Okay, so with this security group will get created and then attached to this instance. Okay, let me quickly go over 2 more things. Creation of EBC. This is clear, right? Security group. Is this clear? Security group.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
okay. So EBS volumes and then attaching to the EBS volumes. Again, right? You need to find that EBS volumes resource, right? If you do not know, you can just simply search with Terraform resource EBS. It will take you directly somewhere, right? Into the directly resource type. Again, let me quickly go back. Okay, I'll take only next 5 minutes and then we'll wrap up. Okay, keep here. Okay, here, EBS volumes. So you need to find the right resource related to your EBS or any resource. Okay. My system is slow after 1.5 hours. Okay, so I don't have to explain. See, resource groups, clear instances. So here again, there is one prerequisite, even that, right? In whichever region you create your your instance, your EBS volumes also should be created in the same availability zone. Okay, this we discussed during our cloud training. Okay, AWS cloud training. So here I'm going to create an EC2 instance under this availability zone. So your EBS volume also should be created under the same availability zone. Okay, hence I put it like this. Here availability zone equal to 1A. Here AWS underscore EBS volume also should be created in the same availability zone. When you space size equal to 5, it is 5 GB. So that means we are going to create a volume of 5 GB and then how to attach. Okay. And in order to attach, there is one more resource AWS volume attachment. Okay, you can also look at I mean, see, my first preference is like, for you, don't directly depend on this my GitHub page. You try to search these resources directly in the documentation. You will get even more confidence. Okay, so here I just search with AWS resource and then EBS. It will take me here. So this is where resource AWS underscore right, and availability zone and what size you wanted to create, and then how to attach, right? If you just come down here and you will have, so you need to be very familiar searching this one, right? See, volume attachment. Okay, there is one more thing. All these resources comes under EC2. Okay, EBS EC2 volume attachment. Okay, you need to look at here under this resource AWS volume attachment. What is that volume ID? Again, the volume ID will be the one which we created with dot and then instance ID. Okay, and with what device name. So that, right, this particular the instance what we created will get attached to this instance. If you wanted to verify, you can verify later. After logging into that instance, you can run this lsblk command where you can see this particular disk is already created.
Instance ID, we will get it only after the instance gets created, right? So
no,
how
we are
can
referencing here, right? Instance ID, instance underscore ID to that right instance what we created, AWS underscore instance dot web. So that means we should have created instance. I mean, we should have written a block, resource block, AWS underscore instance dot, I mean, web as the logical name.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
The one which is representing below, just
Yeah.
below there. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere. Yeah, like this.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Like this.
Yeah.
Okay, and adding user data, which is again very simple. And let me quickly walk through. I'll give you these 3 exercises for today, and remaining 2 more I will explain today, and you can do it tomorrow. Okay, I don't want it to give you more than 3. Let me quickly explain one more, user data. As we know, right, user data is the one, like any kind of shell scripts we can attach during your server launch. Like typically we did in AWS also, we have created like kind of web server. Remember, like adding web server as your user data.
Yes.
Okay, the same thing, like how do we attach that user data using Terraform? So that means we wanted to create an instance using Terraform, along with user data also has to be passed. Okay, quickly go this user data. Take these 3 as the exercises for today. I will also put up, right? Anyway, they are already present here. I don't need to put up. Okay, you can just take this and then do it. Sorry, I need to go GitHub. Okay, EC2 user data. Like provider AWS block. This is clear. Right? This is where user data, right? So while creating this instance, under this user data argument, whatever instructions you're supposed to run, like kind of shell script, okay, you need to run those commands over here. So that means once this gets created and having that, right, you can also take one more, right? Here I am also creating security group where I am enabling port number 80. So that means once you create this instance, you can also write this output block here, right? If you look at here, right, I have written output block also. I'll take the public IP of this instance. I can straight away access this public IP, right? When you just apply this configuration, you will get the public IP of this instance. When you take the public IP from the output session, when you just write, when you just search with like when you just enter with public IP, right? It should supposed to launch your web server. Like here, right? Apache you have installed as part of this instance. Your Apache default web page should supposed to launch when you try to hit that public IP in the browser. Okay, everything, all scenarios are covered here. Like output blocks covered, security group is covered, and right key name, since I already have a key, so I just given the same key. Every time you don't need to create new keys, but it's up to you whether you wanted to create new key or you can use the existing key, right? All the scenarios are covered as part of these things.
When you say key name here, is it our SSH key which you are referring, or
no,
our AWS keys?
AWS key. This is with respect to your AWS instance.
Okay.
So in this case, right, I already have KodeCraft 1, right? In my AWS account, I already have KodeCraft 1 key. Okay, that is public key, and I also have KodeCraft private key with me. So when I assign the same name, so I can use my private key to access to that server. Okay, just take these three as the exercises for today and make sure, right, everybody try to do it at least. Okay, just don't come to me like without trying for help. Try it out. If it does not work, if we encounter any issues, then I will be able to help you out. Okay, remaining 3 things I will explain tomorrow. You can take it for tomorrow's exercises. Okay, that's all I have.